Hello, everyone. I am here with the lovely Donna Hoffman, who is a grief educator and grief coach. And we're going to learn a little bit about her background, how she got into this work, as well as a little bit more about grief beyond just losing someone who has passed away. Because all of us know that there's a lot of different ways to grief. And over COVID, there's different ways that we've lost not just our job, but our way of life. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. But I want to start with first things first with Miss Donna. Tell us a little bit about your background and how you got to become a grief coach and your business.
Okay. Hi, Kara. Thank you. First of all, yes, I am Donna, and pleased to meet everybody. I want to say you're going to hear me talk about a journey. You're going to hear me talk about a journey all the time throughout this interview. Right up here to my left, which you can't see, I have a plaque that says, every journey brings blessings. And I firmly believe that that's a mantra of mine. What happened is, as an adult, I'm going to start there and then I'm going to work backwards a little bit. As an adult, I was always in education. I was a first grade teacher, and then I was a school principal. But early in my life, when I was 18 years old, my whole world completely changed. It was a world where I felt confident that nothing was ever going to happen bad. And then one evening, as I said goodbye to my father to go to a cooking class, 2 hours later, he was gone because he died suddenly of a heart attack. I was an 18-year-old young woman. I had no idea how to grieve. No one was ever there to offer any help. It was horrible, and it changed my life, my world. 50 some years later, I'm still grieving. Then I lost throughout the years. I lost my only sibling. My brother died very suddenly, and I lost my mother. So to me, Kara, that I lost my birth family. Mm-hmm. And when you lose your birth family, you really lose part of your identity. Mm-hmm. And like I said, I had no idea what I was dealing with or how to grieve. So I felt this calling after I retired, and I felt this calling from the spirit, and I wanted to help people who were grieving, and I became a certified life cycle celebrant. So I started, I was trained, and I started a journey of my own. It was called A Journey Remembered, where when someone loses a loved one and they want to tell their life story, I am contacted, and I sit with the family for like 3 days, and we plan the story, because everybody has a story.
Yeah.
Everybody's life is unique, and everybody has a story to tell.
Yeah.
So that's what I do. But after working with the family for 3 days and going through the worst time of their life with them, I thought, what's happening here? What happens to those families after they've buried their person? So I became a grief educator, a grief coach. And a grief coach, when you're in grief, the person that you want to talk to is the person that you can't talk to. You can talk to them, but they can't answer you. So you search for a person that you want to talk to, who understands where you're coming from and will kind of meet you where you are. And like I said to you before, hurting doesn't mean that you're broken. And a lot of people think that. And it doesn't mean that you need to be fixed. Mm-hmm. It just means that you need somebody to say, yes, your loss, it does matter.
Yeah.
I'm a strong believer that I suffered my own loss. I suffered through all that grief, and I survived so that I could help others in their time of grief and loss.
Yes.
I really just believe that. But I want to tell you, and I want to emphasize this, I am not a grief counselor. Mm-hmm. I don't have a counseling degree. I cannot say to you, I think you should go get this medicine, that you should see a doctor, anything like that. I'm not a counselor. My background My degree is in educational leadership, not counseling. So right up front, everybody knows that. I was certified as a grief educator and trained by a gentleman who was world renowned. His name is David Kessler. And if anybody wants to search him, research him, he's a wonderful man. And he has like 6 best-selling books. And a few years ago, David lost his own son, 22 years old, through a drug overdose. So I've been trained by what I consider the best, because his unfortunate life circumstances has opened up a whole new world of training for him too. So what I offer now is a coach, a companionship to a journey of hope and healing.
Yeah. And that's the name of your business.
Hope and healing. That's
Yes.
as I took on a journey remembered,
Yes.
then I expanded it to a journey of hope and healing.
Yeah.
I want you to know something though. Everybody has their own, everybody's story is unique. So everybody's pain is different. Someone's missing. Life has changed. Your world's upside down, and your pain might not just be from a loss. And this is really important. Your pain might not be from a loss of a loved one, but it could be a loss of a job.
Yes.
Could be a loss of a relationship.
Yes.
Could be COVID. Could be an illness. Kara, you know, because of all of our conversations, I had a very trying experience during COVID. Our daughter was one of the very first to get COVID, and she ended up being on a respirator, on a ventilator for 11 and a half days. And that, God willing, he saved her. He gave us a miracle, but that in turn changed our lives, changed my life forever. So I'm dealing with, like, I'm a strong person, and I'm thinking I would never have something like PTSD, but I do.
Yes.
So I'm dealing with that. So that's what I'm offering, is the hope and healing journey to someone who just didn't lose someone by a passing, but lost life as we all know it. I mean, we know life has changed.
Yeah. And we lose friends because of there's a lot of different belief systems and political views and religious views, and a lot of polarization that's happened over the last couple of years, that a lot of people have that grief and loss for losing a group of people, or social ties, or family, like just social, like we're not talking to each other. I think that's very common.
And even relationships as friends, but relationship with families.
Yeah.
Like you said, political views, different opinions. This has created such a change in the world. And I think everybody, their hearts are longing for healing.
Yeah.
And our souls want peace.
What about when someone gets a divorce and they're really close with the spouse's in-laws or the spouse's siblings? That I feel like is also common that we see when people go through divorce.
And that's exactly right. Because you not only lose that partner, but you lose their family, you lose friendships. So it is very hard. And I think that there are so many people out there right now who need hope, real hope. And that's what my journey of hope and healing is all about.
I'm really grateful that you're doing this work. And I love that you came to the conclusion that this was, part of your journey, is so that you can hold space for others. Because I'm a firm believer, anyone in the helping profession, no matter what you do, a lot of times you have gone through your own trials and tribulations in that particular arena of work. And that makes you really good at doing what you do because you've been through it. So that just makes me so grateful that you have that experience to hold space for people in such compassion. And also the education piece and certification is really awesome, because I know we've talked before, a lot of the work that we do at Firefly Hollow, and a lot of the work that I do working with people, like working with counselors and coaches, and also a grief coach as well, is really just amazing to have you as a resource. But I'm curious, we're going to be, of course, having you for events. So again, please check out our website for upcoming events with Donna and one-on-one stuff. But I want to know, what would you expect for someone to experience during an introductory workshop with you? What does that look like?
Well, first of all, you're going to have lots of empathy and compassion because you're going to be surrounded by people who really, it's not like you're going to have companions on a journey.
Yeah.
You understand?
You're not alone in this for sure.
No, you're
Yeah.
not. You're going to
Yeah.
connect with people who understand, who are hurting themselves, and who have felt loss. And hopefully together we'll find the courage over fear, whether your loss is recent or whether it happened years ago. Because
Yes.
like I said, it'll soon be 50 years for my father, and I'm still not over that loss.
Do you feel
You
like
understand?
you or the people you work with and coach, do they struggle with shame or guilt? The feeling like
Oh,
they should be over
mhm.
it by now? Because I feel
Because
I've heard that a lot. And I was like, oh no.
like I said, I'm going back to my own PTSD that I was diagnosed with after our daughter went through
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I That's hard for me because I consider myself a strong person.
Yeah.
Um, and it was hard for me to realize I didn't have control. I didn't
Yeah.
have control over what was going to happen, what was an outcome that was going to happen.
Yeah.
Um, so yes, you can feel angry, you can feel ashamed, you can feel, all of that. Um, I just want you to know that everybody's story, again, I'm emphasizing this, is unique.
Yeah.
Okay. And as we're together in a group or one-on-one, um, that's the opportunity to express your thoughts and your feelings without criticism
Yeah.
and without somebody judging you.
Yeah.
You know, hope is being able to see a light in our world, and hopefully that's what you would get from what we're offering together.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm curious if you really are like loving working, in capacity of like what you're doing, you come to one of your workshops. Um, are people able to meet with you one-on-one, and like what does that coaching one-on-one process look like you? Especially because some
Well,
people aren't comfortable in a group.
no, they're not. First
Mhm.
of all, what would happen, let me just go back to if we were doing a group, okay?
Okay.
If we were doing a group, like the first offering that I'm going to have with you is an evening. We're going to have meditative reflection. There's going to be time for that. There's going to be healing music. I'm a strong believer that music heals or
Mhm.
helps to heal.
Yeah.
We're going to have spiritual prayer. Now, I don't care what your religion is, or if you don't have a religion, that's fine,
Mhm.
but I'm just going to offer some kind of peaceful feeling through a spiritual prayer. We're going to have a lot of discussion, a lot of sharing. I'm a firm believer in, and you and I have discussed this, I'm a firm believer in spiritual messages that we get from
Mhm.
people who have passed away, who
Yep.
have passed on. I myself have had a lot of spiritual messages. Even the day that our daughter was taken off of the ventilator during the night, we didn't know that that had happened, but I had had a dream that not too many people know this, so I'm telling the world now.
Yeah, I'm starting to cry
Um,
because it's very powerful. I'm feeling this.
yeah, I had had a dream. I used to sing to my first graders sometimes. I used to teach them this song, "This Little Light of Mine." And I had that dream with that song going through my mind. And then that next morning, when we called the hospital, um, they said, "Well, your daughter was taken off of the respirator." And,
Oh.
it was like they didn't have time to call us, which is,
Mm.
that's fine. They were, but that was the message, a spiritual message that I was getting through that
Yeah.
song and
Yeah.
didn't know. So we're going to discuss spiritual messages. Um, and then I would do something called what I would be calling a hope and a healing meditative whisper,
Mm.
where, we would be into a meditative state, and I would be sort of giving a thought to take it home with you and leave, and maybe go home and do some, I don't want to call it homework because I'm not the teacher there, but you understand what I'm saying, some
Yeah.
reflection from a
Yeah.
home. So that might be something that we would do in a group.
Yeah.
If we were on a one-to-one basis, if I was doing it on a Zoom like you, we would be talking and offering things that, just like I'm saying in a group, I'm going to be offering eventually teen groups
Yeah.
and one-on-one teen coaching, because teens at this time really are going through a lot. They've
Yes.
gone through suicides
Yes.
of their friends. They've gone to a world where they were isolated without being in a school setting. So lots of things are happening. But I think that it would be productive for anyway if you were feeling the loss of anything, whether you join a group or where you just want a one-on-one. Too often we underestimate the power of a touch or a smile or a kind word or just a listening ear.
Yeah.
And all of those things have a tendency that can turn your life around. And hopefully after our sessions as a group or our one-on-one sessions, you leave those sessions feeling hope and healing in your heart.
Yeah.
And basically that's what it's all about.
Donna, I can't tell you how grateful I am to have met you. And your daughter is a little light, this little light of mine. I'm not surprised that's the message, and that's the song that Spirit gave you, because I've met her. She's just amazing, and she's just a bright beam of sunshine in this world.
Yes, thank you.
So, and I'm glad that you're going to be talking about the spiritual messages, because I know that a lot of people just discount them, and there's so many different ways that Spirit does leave us those little tidbits, those little breadcrumbs, so we have that hope. So that's very, very powerful, and I'm really looking forward to collaborating with you on that in some capacity too, because I think that's going to be really fun. But yeah, if you guys have any other questions, please feel free to reach out to us directly. Do you have anything else that you want to share, Donna, before we go today?
No, just I thank you for the opportunity. And, please, if you're out there and you're feeling this hurt and you're feeling this fear and isolation, and you just need hope and you need healing, reach out.
Absolutely.
That's what we can do.
Absolutely. Thank you so very much, Donna. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys in one of her circles, working with her one-on-one, and even just asking questions if you guys need a phone call to do a brief consult to see if it's right for you to work with Donna. So yeah.
Okay.
Thank you again.
So very much.
All right. We'll see you guys later.
Take
Bye.
care. Bye-bye.